This demonstrates blatant disregard for the historic status quo with respect to the holy sites in Jerusalem. The ongoing reckless statements and actions of this minister only sow chaos and exacerbate tensions. What could have possibly happened in Israel to make the US State Department say something like this? The US administration just made it very clear to Israel that they do not want a house of prayer on the Temple Mount. We're going to get into all of that here on today's show. I'm Justin. This is the Israel Guys. Welcome to the Israel Guys, where we believe that in a world of Jew hatred and anti-Israel propaganda, you should have a direct connection to the land and people of Israel. Well, folks, Itamar Ben-Gvir is in the news once again, and once again, it is about the Temple Mount. He was on the news last month. I did a show about it, how he went up on the 9th of Av, and he made some statements, and the whole world kind of blew up, really did not like what he said. So, he made the whole world blow up again, not literally, obviously, figuratively. He made the whole world blow up, and it was in regards to the Temple Mount once again. So he did an interview with Israel's Army Radio on Monday, and he made some statements that the world and the US, the Biden administration in particular, did not like at all. Here's what he said that was so terrible. Okay. First of all, he said that Jews are allowed to pray on the Temple Mount. Oh my goodness, did he really just say that? He said this, quote, "The policies on the Temple Mount allow prayer, period. The premier knows that when I joined the government, I said in the simplest way that there will be no discrimination at the Temple Mount, just like Muslims can pray at the Western Wall. If I were to say that Muslims are not allowed to pray, you would kill me." And he's absolutely right here. Now, this isn't even the most controversial part of his interview. He said this same thing last month, as I mentioned before, when he went on the Temple Mount for Tisha B'Av. He said that Jews should be allowed to pray on the Temple Mount, and he was completely blasted by the world. This time, what he said was, and then the aftermath that followed was probably the harshest criticism that he's ever received from the U.S. administration, and he has received a lot of harsh criticism, including them considering sanctioning him along with other Minister Bezalel Smotrich. The juiciest part of his interview, the interview that he did with Israel's Army Radio, was when he was asked repeatedly, he was kind of pushed for it, if he would build a synagogue on the Temple Mount if he was able to, and he replied, yes. He said, quote, "It's not like I do everything I want on the Temple Mount. If I did everything I wanted on the Temple Mount, the Israeli flag would have been flying there." That was the statement that he made, and this statement sparked international condemnation. The world did not like this terrible statement from Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir, who said that Jews have the right to pray in their holiest site, literally the holiest site in Judaism. Common sense. They have every right to pray there. The Muslims have every right to pray at the third holiest site. They have every right to pray at the Western Wall, and it's not even a holy site for them. Jews are not allowed to pray at the holiest site in Judaism. Talk about apartheid. Yes, that is apartheid going on right here in Israel under our very noses. Guys, Jordan, Egypt, and Saudi Arabia were among the first Muslim countries to condemn it. I just Googled it this morning as I was researching for this show. I saw countless news headlines. Of course, Al Jazeera, France 24, CNN, all of the leftist newspapers. Of course, the New York Times version in Israel, Haaretz, of course, very mad about it. Prime Minister Netanyahu's office put out a statement. Of course, they had to keep face with the international community. They said, quote, "There is no change to the status quo." The status quo, by the way, is what the world talks about all the time. It's not an actual law. Like, it's not legal or binding. It was never put into actual law. This is just what has become normal up on the Temple Mount since Israel unfortunately handed it back over the keys back over to Jordan after they won it in their defensive war in 1967. We'll be right back with the rest of the show in just 1 second, but first, the fall feasts are almost here, and it's believed that this year more believers around the world will be celebrating than ever before in history. If you're a Christian wanting to learn about the biblical festivals and how they're significant in our faith, or if you're looking for a meaningful way to connect with Israel, right now, we suggest you get a copy of I Am Israel, the believer's guide to the rebirth of the Promised Land. Showcasing over 550 stunning photographs, illustrated maps, and powerful stories, this gorgeous hardcover will take you on a visual journey through the land of the Bible. It will explore the epic regions of Jerusalem, Judea, Samaria, the coastlands, and the Galilee. Meet Jewish pioneers who are returning to their ancient homeland just as the Bible foretold. Discover stories of Christian heroes who played a pivotal role in the establishment of the nation of Israel, and learn about the feasts of the Lord from Passover to the Feast of Tabernacles, and see how they are celebrated inside of Israel. This high-quality coffee table book is the perfect way to introduce anyone to the miracle of Israel. Just visit the book section at iamisraelfilm.com or just click the link in the description below to get your copy today. Foremost among the condemnation of this radical right-wing minister in Israel who made this terrible statement regarding the Temple Mount was Israel's greatest ally, the United States of America. Matthew Miller, the State Department spokesman, said that the proposed house of worship on the Haram al-Sharif, what he called it, or Temple Mount, would, quote, demonstrate blatant disregard for the historic status quo with respect to the holy sites in Jerusalem. The ongoing reckless statements and actions of this minister only sow chaos and exacerbate tensions at a moment when Israel must stand united against threats from Iran and its proxy terrorist groups, including Hamas and Hezbollah. They directly undermine Israel's security. The U.S. reaffirms its commitment to the preservation of the historic status quo at Jerusalem's holy sites and will continue to oppose unilateral steps that are counterproductive to achieving peace and stability and undermine Israel's security. First off, the statement that Ben-Gvir made wasn't that controversial. He was just advocating for Jews praying on their holiest site. The whole world is up in arms right now because Ben-Gvir said that if it was possible for him, he would put a house of worship up on the Temple Mount. Well, guys, sorry to burst your bubble, but one day there's going to be a house of worship up there on the Temple Mount, whether you like it or not. Yes, I'm talking about a house of prayer for all nations, the third temple being rebuilt, just like it talks about in Isaiah 56 verse 7, that says, my house shall be called a house of prayer for all nations. It's going to happen whether you like it or not. So I don't know why the whole world is going up in arms again against it, because unfortunately it seems more and more every day the world is turning against God, turning against the Bible, and so they don't like the things of God. They don't like the things of the Bible. And one of those things is the third temple being rebuilt on the Temple Mount. One of the mosque preachers from the Temple Mount, Sheikh Ikrima Sabri, he mocked Ben-Gvir's statement. He called it imaginary. And honestly, what he said, it should have sparked a lot more outrage than Ben-Gvir's statements. It's more controversial. However, no one's really talking about it. According to Arutz Sheva, Sabri held the Israeli government responsible for Ben-Gvir's remarks and stressed that the Al-Aqsa Mosque is an Islamic site that non-Muslims are forbidden to approach. Oh, so non-Muslims aren't just not allowed to pray now, they're forbidden to approach. Guys, where's the outrage for this statement? This Muslim sheikh, this preacher on the Temple Mount, literally just said that he thinks that non-Muslims should not be able to go up on a site that is very important for Jews, literally the holiest site, very important for Christians. Jesus, he loved the temple. He was zealous for the house, and he turned over the tables in the temple. He loved his father's house, so it was very important for Christians, very important for Jews. But where is the outrage when this Muslim sheikh says, I think non-Muslims are forbidden to approach. He went on to say the Israeli plans which are mentioned are imaginary, since Al-Aqsa Mosque will continue to exist as a holy site for Muslims only. No, there were no Israeli plans. Itamar Ben-Gvir did not say he was going to build a synagogue on the Temple Mount, even though he said he would if he was able to. Hamas also threatened to assassinate Itamar Ben-Gvir. One of the founders of their military branch, Zahar Jabarin, he threatened that, quote, Ben-Gvir's fate will be like the fate of Gandhi, reference to the nickname of former tourism minister Rehavam Ze'evi. He was assassinated by a Palestinian Arab terrorist in 2001. Ben-Gvir, he had a great response to this. He said, quote, the fact that these threats are directed at me proves that I am on the right path and that what I am doing upsets the terrorists from Hamas. I have news for them. I will continue to upset them and work to eliminate them. This should be the answer to those threats. The elimination of those who issue them as part of the pursuit of achieving the overall goal of disbanding Hamas. He is absolutely right. Guys, when the whole world is condemning you, maybe, just maybe, you are doing something right in the world. I feel like Itamar Ben-Gvir is really living out the words of Isaiah 62 verse 1 that says, for Zion's sake, I will not keep silent, and for Jerusalem's sake, I will not be quiet until her righteousness goes forth as brightness and her salvation as a burning torch. Guys, I pray that all of us will live that out to the fullest, that we will not keep silent for Zion's sake, as Itamar Ben-Gvir is doing, and I feel like he's doing a very good job of. Guys, continue to pray for Israel as they're still in this horrific war with Hamas, and they're facing multiple threats on all fronts. Continue to pray for the nation of Israel. Don't forget to check out David Kern's epic I Am Israel photo book. Just click the link in the description below. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. If you agree with me about this Temple Mount issue, let me know. If you support the Temple Mount, I'll try to respond to you there in the comments. Love interacting with you guys there. Super fun. As always, stop listening to the lies and propaganda. Connect with the truth of what is happening here in Israel. Guys, catch you in the next one.